Don's Plum is a 1996 movie featuring a slew of young actors on the brink of stardom, including Tobey Maguire, Kevin Connolly, and most notably Leonardo DiCaprio. Yet despite this star-studded cast, you've probably never heard of this film. Why? Well, because Leo and Toby don't want you to. These two actors went to great lengths to prevent its release, even suing their former friend and movie's producer Dale Wheatley. But what could provoke such drastic measures? The primary reason is that the film, which relies heavily on improvised dialogue, casts them in an extremely negative light, with scenes steeped in misogyny and occasional overt racism.
Don's Plum is not an easy movie to watch. It's sometimes not a very easy movie to experience. It's a very raw, gritty movie.
In this video, I'm going to delve into the controversies surrounding Don's Plum, examine how it derailed careers before they began, highlight some of the movie's most shocking moments, and speculate on what these performances might reveal about the actual characters of the actors, particularly Leonardo DiCaprio. The film and I actually have a little bit of history. I found the DVD of it in a bargain bin at a grocery store in New Zealand when I was around 17. And yeah, I couldn't believe my eyes. A film with Leonardo DiCaprio that I'd never seen or even heard of. When I first watched it as a teenager, I honestly didn't mind it. I thought it was an interesting, low-budget indie film. The dialogue is pretty bad and the characters behave in really disgusting ways, especially Leo's character. But at the time, I assumed these were just actors voicing scripted lines. Much later, I learned that the majority of the film's dialogue and character choices were completely improvised by the actors. It made me see it in a completely different light. Here's a basic plot summary. The film centers around a group of male friends in their early 20s who meet up at a diner called Don's Plum, a real diner that existed at the time. The initial drive of the movie is whether the boys can convince some girls to join them and potentially hook up.
Will you come with me to meet my friends at a diner very soon?
No.
Where?
Las Vegas? Could you take me?
Do you want to meet me at Plum's tonight? Check it out. What are you doing?
Maybe I should come with you because I failed to come earlier.
Bruh.
After succeeding in gathering some women, the film focuses on the group's conversations. And these conversations feature gems of improvised lines such as...
Do you girls masturbate at all? You know, trying to get to know you a little bit. Why did you send her back to see, bro? That chicken's fat.
Thank you for inviting me out on a date and not telling me that you're bisexual.
Ooh! Thank you, bro, for being, a poor.
Each character appears to be dealing with their own issues like drug addiction, pretentiousness, misogyny, and, just general dickishness. Another girl is bullied to the point of leaving the diner and smashing Kevin Connolly's character's car.
I just can't look at her anymore. I mean, look at her.
Look at her, stop, bro.
She's looking at me right now. What am I supposed to do? Throw a bottle in her hair?
You do this to make yourself feel better because you're scared of me. I'm the one that intimidates you.
Apparently, this girl's character was intentionally written out of the movie because Leo hated her and didn't think she was a good actor. The moment where she runs out of the diner, throws a shoe, and Leo throws a glass back at her is apparently real and the result of incessant improvised bullying. They added the car smashing scene to give her some kind of final act before we never see her again. Later in the film, Kevin Connolly's character, who is also an actor, spots a powerful producer and follows her into the back bar where they end up making out about 2 minutes after meeting. Leo's character Derek later reveals that he is dealing with the trauma of his father unaliving himself. He goes to a back room for space where he is joined by Jenny Lewis's character. They start making out and Leo attempts to rather aggressively take it to the next level before screaming at her.
What are you doing? Look at him. You, the bar, Don's Plum. Are you f***ing out of your minds?
Girls make me sick. Please leave.
Sounds like you make me sick.
All right, whatever. Get out of here. You're a whore. You're a whore. Go, go, go. Get the f*** out of here now. Leave. Don't laugh, you stupid bitch. Get out of here.
By the end of the film, not much has happened besides a little scuffle, and the gang heads out into the night with the assumption that this will all happen again next weekend in some other way. So how did this film even come to be? In the 90s, Leo, Toby, and others were part of a group of talented young actors known as the Pussy Posse. although they actually refuted this name and claimed they called themselves the Wolf Pack, which is fucking way cooler, guys. So this team of little rapscallions had a bit of a reputation. They'd hit the town, try to pick up girls, generally have a good time by their standards. In today's slang, we might refer to this troupe as a gang of boys, the kind you should abandon all hope of a relationship with. So producer Dale Wheatley met the Wolf Pack just 2 weeks after he moved to LA with his own dreams of being successful in the film industry. He apparently fell in love with the group, especially Leo, and knew that if he could get Leo on board for his film, the rest would follow. Leo agreed, apparently under the assumption that it would only be a short film, thus not present much of a threat to his career if it were bad, as theoretically it would only be seen at film festivals and serve as a launching pad for the creators to move on to bigger projects. But this isn't what happened. The filmmakers decided to get the entire cast, besides Leo, back to do some reshoots, which added enough footage for a feature-length cut. Upon hearing of this news, Leo was furious, worried that this film would make him look bad if more people were to see it than initially intended. So the filmmakers set up a private screening for all the cast so they could give their blessings before moving ahead with the feature. And apparently, Leo ended up loving the film.
Leo was literally rolling on the floor, laughing.
All of a sudden, Leo's jumping out of his chair, he's smacking the ground, he's high-fiving all of our friends, Ferguson, Connolly, all of us. He's high-fiving us, can't believe what's happening, back in his seat, howling.
He loved it. He jumped up and down. He turned spins in the air. And on the way out, he congratulated RD and he said, well, you said you were going to make a feature. I never believed you could, but you did it, and it's pretty good. It was that simple.
Like everything was better, man.
But unfortunately, there was another rising star who didn't like the film, or more specifically, his own performance, Tobey Maguire. According to Dale Wheatley, Maguire and his manager thought that his improvised performance didn't measure up in comparison to DiCaprio's, and they didn't want people comparing the two as it could limit Maguire's career. Apparently, he had ambitions of being even more successful than Leo, and was secretly very jealous of his early success. He also didn't like a scene in the film where he improvised a line about stimulating his back door while he self-pleasures. So in order to derail the film, Maguire allegedly told Leo that the filmmakers had planned to use the press against him if he didn't agree to let them release the film as a feature. This led to a massive fight one night, which resulted in ruined friendships and the apparent blacklisting of the filmmakers by DiCaprio.
We would go to parties, and just people who would normally be extremely happy to see me, they wouldn't even speak to us. You know, the word on the street doesn't go back to me. You work with those guys, you will never work with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Do you feel you were blacklisted?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I was blacklisted at the time.
Did you eventually go and make more movies?
No.
This caused Dale Wheatley to sue DiCaprio and Maguire for unjustly trying to bury the film and ruin their careers.
The next thing I knew, Jerry and Stutman and RD and Dale all declared that they're going to sue Leo because Leo's blocking this thing.
However, Leo maintains that he never agreed to the feature.
I'd never had any intention of doing a feature film. The agreement had always been that this was a short film. I would never go in for one night and improvise with my friends and make a feature film. There's no way I would ever do that.
The producer's lawsuit was unsuccessful, and Toby and Leo decided to sue right back, resulting in a settlement that prevented the film from being released in the US and Canada. Even in the countries where it was released, like Australia, New Zealand, Japan, it failed to make any real impact, and profits from the film made ultimately went to covering the legal fees. In the end, Dale Wheatley says he has made a grand total of $180 from the film.
I produced a feature film with the biggest movie star in the world, and I got paid $180.
Would this film have impacted Leo or Toby's career if it was released in the US and Canada? Potentially, In the time between shooting the film and trying to get it ultimately released, DiCaprio had starred in Titanic, which catapulted him into the mainstream and made him a heartthrob to teenage girls all over the world. Not because they knew who DiCaprio was, but because of the characters he played in films like Romeo and Juliet and, of course, Titanic. Don's Plum just no longer fit his image. Dale Wheatley tells a story of how DiCaprio seemed to have changed following Titanic, and how he approached negotiations over the film more like his character Derek than the Leo they used to know.
In a way, life was starting to imitate art. Leo was becoming more and more like Derek, the way he acted, the things that he said. He knew that we had been already invited to Sundance. He goes, this movie isn't going to be in Sundance. My agents run this town, and they run Sundance, and believe me, that movie's not going to be in Sundance. Your movie's not going to be anywhere. My agents run this town. At one point he goes, I can't even look at your faces anymore. I can't look at your face anymore. And he points to me. You Canadian tree hugging piece of shit. Get the out of here.
Get the out of here now!
All of our dreams, all of the work, it all died that day. In that moment, it was done.
You can see how hurt Wheatley still is almost 25 years later. I felt really sorry for him while watching the documentary about his side of things. The way he's still so stuck in the past, remembering the fun times with his friends who no longer talk to him. He even visits DiCaprio's childhood home at one point. He's just so stuck, obsessing over making Leo own up to his supposed sins and make amends with him, when Leo probably doesn't spare him a moment's thought.
I feel bad for you.
I don't think about you at all.
Dale Wheatley even wrote an open letter to DiCaprio on his website, Free Don's Plum, where he tries to set the record straight and advocate for the film's release. It seems as though he still believes Don's Plum is a brilliant film and would be embraced positively if ever released. The thing is, the film is kind of publicly released and now available in the US and Canada. The only problem is it's an extremely low quality version uploaded to YouTube. But if you are really keen to see this film, another option is you can actually email Dale Wheatley himself and he will personally send you an HD link to the movie. I think it's a shame that careers and friendships were ruined over this movie. Although hindsight is 2020, it's easy to see now that the best move for the filmmakers would have been to have kept DiCaprio and Maguire happy and recut the film to be released as a short only. Then they might have been able to move up to bigger projects with the guidance and potential help from their superstar friends. As of 2024, Don's Plum is now owned by the film's initial investor, Jerry Beckman, who is also the inventor of the Happy Meal. His son, Todd Beckman, was one of the original writers of the film and has some thoughts on what should ultimately happen to Don's Plum.
I wanted to do was, try and get a meeting with Leo and Toby and take the actual canisters there and in a trash can, light them on fire and just can burn those reels to the ground.
So yeah, that's basically the story of Don's Plum. If you want a longer, deeper dive, there is a 3-part documentary out there called The Curse of Don's Plum, which tells mostly Dale Wheatley's side of things. Feel free to check that out. Have you seen the film, and what are your thoughts on it? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Do you think Tobey Maguire and Leo DiCaprio were kind of dicks and unjustly ruined the careers of multiple people? Or do you think these filmmakers should have swallowed their pride and just been okay with a short film? If you enjoyed this video and want to support the channel, the best thing you could do is subscribe. I put about 40 hours a week into YouTube and I don't make any money from it at this stage. So if you could help me get to that magical number of 1,000, it'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Get the out of here now!